The first night she arrived, the house felt different, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. The rain tapped softly against the windows, and the dim hallway light cast long shadows across the floor, when Arjun stood frozen at the top of the stairs, watching the woman who had just become his stepmother unpack her suitcase in the living room below. Maya was not supposed to feel unfamiliar. She was his father's wife now, but everything about her presence unsettled him. Her voice was gentle yet firm, her movements careful, as if she was stepping into a life she wasn't sure would accept her. Arjun told himself his unease came from loyalty to his late mother, from the fear of change, from the sudden realization that childhood had ended without asking his permission. But deep down, something else stirred, something he refused to name. Maya tried to fit in, tried to play the role expected of her. She cooked meals she hoped Arjun would like, asked about his college classes, smiled even when silence answered her questions. She carried her own grief quietly. Marrying a widower meant inheriting memories she could never replace. Arjun's father, Rajiv, was kind but distant, absorbed in work and responsibility, leaving Maya and Arjun alone together far more than either expected. In those quiet hours, tension grew, not from words spoken, but from those left unsaid. A glance held too long, a moment of shared laughter that faded too quickly, an awkward pause when their hands brushed accidentally. Arjun fought himself daily. He reminded himself who she was, what she represented, the line that must never be crossed. Yet the house became a place where emotions echoed louder than footsteps. Maya saw the struggle in his eyes, recognized it because she felt it too. She blamed herself, telling herself it was loneliness, that she was searching for connection in the wrong place. She prayed for distance, for normalcy, for this strange pull to disappear. But emotions do not obey prayers. One evening, a power outage plunged the house into darkness. Candles flickered, shadows danced, and the storm outside roared like a warning. In that fragile light they talked, really talked for the first time. About loss, about fear, about how life had reshaped them without permission. Their words were careful, restrained, but honesty slipped through the cracks. When the lights returned, something irreversible had already changed. That night, Arjun lay awake, staring at the ceiling, his heart pounding with guilt and longing. Maya sat alone in her room, tears sliding silently down her face, knowing that acknowledging her feelings was already a betrayal. Love had arrived where it should not exist, and neither of them knew how to escape it. And if this story has already pulled you into its emotional storm, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because this is only the beginning of a journey where every choice carries a consequence. The days that followed were heavier, charged with emotions neither of them dared to voice. The house felt smaller, the air thicker. Rajiv's absence became more frequent, unintentionally feeding a tension that both Arjun and Maya tried desperately to suppress. They avoided eye contact, filled silence with noise, and built walls of politeness between them. But forbidden feelings do not fade simply because they are ignored. They grow, feeding on restraint. Maya began to withdraw, spending hours outside the house, volunteering, finding reasons to be anywhere but there. Arjun noticed everything, her absence, her forced smiles, the exhaustion in her eyes. He hated himself for being the cause of her pain, yet the thought of losing her presence hurt more than guilt ever could. He considered leaving, transferring colleges, running away from the emotion he couldn't control. But courage failed him, and so did distance. The breaking point came the night Rajiv was hospitalized unexpectedly. Fear stripped away restraint. In the sterile hospital corridor, surrounded by beeping machines and uncertainty, Arjun and Maya clung to each other, not as lovers, but as two broken souls terrified of losing what little family they had left. In that moment, the truth stood naked between them. They didn't speak it aloud, but they didn't need to. Love once recognized cannot be unseen. When Rajiv recovered, reality returned with brutal clarity. Maya made the hardest decision of her life. She chose sacrifice. Love, she realized, was not about possession, but protection. One morning, she left a letter on the dining table and walked out of the house without saying goodbye. In her words, she asked Arjun to live freely, to forgive himself, to remember her not as a mistake but as a lesson in restraint and maturity. Arjun read the letter with shaking hands, understanding finally that love does not always mean being together. Sometimes it means letting go so the other person can survive. Years later, he would look back on that chapter of his life not with shame, but with painful gratitude. It taught him responsibility, emotional discipline, and the true cost of forbidden desires. Maya rebuilt her life elsewhere. Arjun finished his education. Rajiv never fully understood why his marriage ended, but peace returned slowly, imperfectly. Some loves are not meant to be lived. They are meant to shape us and then disappear. And if this story moved you, challenged you, or made you feel something real, subscribe to the channel for more powerful, emotional, full-length movie stories that explore the deepest corners of the human heart.